Good afternoon, and welcome to Spirit Speaks on the World Today. I'm Reverend Jim Webb. I serve as the senior minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel in Silver Spring, Maryland. I also am the author of a number of books, including 30 P's to Prosperity, Prosperity from A to Z, Create Your Self-Manifesting Vision Board, and Forgive Your Way to Prosperity. Now, these are all ebooks available on Amazon.com, and they all load up to what I call the mothership, which is my paperback that's 216 pages, The Soul of Prosperity, which is also available on Amazon. In addition to that, I do personal coaching, counseling, intuitive counseling and readings, and I channel. That's what we'll be doing today for this final episode of Spirit Speaks on the World Today. I channel a group of beings known as the Masters of Planetary Healing and Transformation. Their task is to help us to all transform so that we can help the Earth to transform. They recognize us as light workers, and they work with us to bring enlightenment to the earth. We started this series when the guides felt such a sense of unrest about the direction of the planet because of the wars in the Middle East and the Ukraine and Russia, and because of the volatile political climate here in the United States. So I work with my guides regularly in my classes and workshops. So they suggested that I do a special broadcast to give people spirit's perspective on all the turmoil. So that's what we're doing. I will go out and spirit will work through me. Now, what you might notice in yourself is you might notice a sense of peace or calm, or it may feel energetically as if you are being embraced. Because when spirit comes through me, it touches everyone and everything in this realm, even through the electronics of today. You might see as I go out, you might see me moving ever so slightly as my body is resistant to the higher vibration electromagnetic energy that is coursing through it. That movement happens in the same way that electromagnetic energy moves through a copper wire and makes it hot. That's because of the resistance. So the resistance may show up in me moving or rocking, or it may show up in the form of my third eye, which is often being filled with light and energy. What they generally do is provide guidance and then open for your questions. So if you have questions, you can put them in the comments section. And so with that, I'm going to yield to my producer, who I thank so much for helping me with this series, Reverend Michael Mangus. Hi, Michael.
Well, good evening, Reverend Jim, and good evening, everyone. And yeah, I have found very comforting. We've been doing this since July.
Yeah, we've been doing it
Yeah,
for a
so
while
we've
now.
been doing this for several months now. And so, again, if you would like, please put your questions in the comments, and then I will relay them to Jim and the Masters, and we'll get some answers this evening. So, again, put your questions in the comments, and you will relay them to Reverend Jim, time permitting. All right. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to breathe and I'm going to relax and I'm going to let go and let spirit take over. I ask that you breathe as well and relax and become aware of an energy of loving peace that is around you always. This energy of loving peace is within you and around you. But when you're focused on the world, it's easy to miss. But when you focus on it is impossible to deny. So breathe. Good. It is our honor and pleasure to work with you in this way at this time. We would suggest, first of all, that you take a moment to breathe. Just breathe and receive the light we would offer to you now. Just breathe, becoming aware of the loving energy of grace that surrounds you now. Just breathe and receive the healing love of God's good. Just breathe and imagine yourself as an open vessel into which God's love is poured. Just breathe and imagine God's love pouring to you and through you now. Just breathe and sense and feel this loving energy being poured into you and being poured through you, going out and touching the earth and healing the earth and all of its inhabitants and all of its situations including your own. Just breathe and experience yourself held in a loving embrace. Just breathe and feel the energy that is being poured through you as the energy that creates the most loving experience within you and the most loving experiences reflected to you in your world. Just breathe and work with the idea, work with the thought form. God's loving light pours through me now and creates the most loving experiences possible. Just breathe that in. God's loving light pours through me now and creates the most loving experience possible. Just breathe that in. God's loving light pours through me now and creates the most loving experience possible. Just breathe in this energy and ask yourself, what loving experience do I choose to see in my life? And breathe in the idea. God's loving energy pours through me now and creates the most loving experience possible, allowing this loving experience to be shown to you in the form you desire, or better. God's loving light pours through me now and creates the most loving experience possible. Be in the energy and of the vibration of the most loving experience possible for you. Breathe this in. And now work with the idea. The love of God pours through me now and creates the most loving experience for the world. The love of God pours through me now and creates the most loving experience for the world. The love of God pours through me now and creates the most loving experience for the world. Just breathe this in, being in the energy of the world, having its most loving experience. And imagine what it feels like to view your television and to see the world in loving experience instead of war, conflict, and division. What would it feel like to watch your evening news, if you do such a thing, and see pictures of the world in harmony and pictures of your country in harmony and in peace and in abundance and in good and in joy and in love? Feel this energy, for this is a healing energy of God, and you are the vessel for this healing energy of God, that it may touch the world. Just breathe this in. Good, 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 good. And feel grace enveloping you now, and feel grace enveloping you now, and feel grace enveloping you now, and breathe this in. And feel grace enveloping you now, and feel grace enveloping you now, and feel grace enveloping you now, and breathe this in. And feel grace enveloping the world, and feel grace enveloping the world, and feel grace enveloping the world, and breathe this in. And feel grace enveloping the world, and feel grace enveloping the world, and feel grace enveloping the world, and breathe this in. And sense The geographic outline of your country, as you have likely seen it on a map many times, sense the geographic outline of your country and imagine a fog of loving grace falling upon your country. Imagine a fog of loving grace falling upon your country. Imagine a fog of loving grace falling upon your country. And hold this image and hold this energy. Good. What you have seen over the last several months, as you have observed the tumultuous experiences in the world and the tumultuous experiences in your country, and perhaps tumultuous experiences in your life, you have seen the energies unlike love coming up for healing. And you have seen yourselves and the earth respond by calling in more and more and more of God's grace. And these experiences that have triggered such an influx of God's light and such an influx of God's grace have caused and allowed the earth to move to a higher realm of experience vibrationally, a higher vibration. And although this is not apparent to you because the situations all seem to be statically the same, the energy has already shifted. And as you know, because the earth is made of seemingly dense matter, it takes a while for the energy to be made manifest through dense matter whose vibrational rate is significantly slowed. But rest assured, the shift that has been requested has been allowed and has occurred. Your earth now brims with more light. Your country has seen its deep divisions and the potential damage that these deep divisions would have on your country. And in seeing this so clearly, your country is deciding on its direction. Now, what we would say about this as we view the energy of this is that many have seen what humans might call the dark side or the downside of such division perpetuating itself or building upon itself. And many Americans, as we see it, opt not to follow the path of more destructive division. Many are doing so quietly in ways that have not been reflected in polls. But there is what we would call a critical mass of humans who have made a choice to create, support, and choose a country more harmonious and more at peace than the more challenging experiences of continued division and conflict. And though humans always have free will, we are seeing a number of humans, in your human terms, enter the voting booth and choosing a path more peaceful. And many humans, as we see it, will do so spontaneously in the moment. Now, what will the outcome of this be? We would not predict this, for there is always the X factor of human choice, which overrides any energy of any moment. However, we see it as highly likely that the Earth's energy begins a trajectory of more stability. We see that regardless of who is chosen as president, something has snapped, something has broken. And that which has snapped and that which has broken is the will of Americans to perpetuate such an energy of conflict and chaos and enmity with each other. And this will be reflected in your politics, in your lives, and in your world. For many, what you might call the straw that broke the camel's back happened a long time before the current election cycle. And that was the revocation of a deeply held and cherished right. And as this right was revoked to some degree or another in a widespread way, it triggered a backlash, the results of which will be on display over the next several days. And this backlash, in addition to everything else that has come up for healing, aspects of what you would call otherization, where beings are made to believe they are other than each other, instead of beings being caused to remember that they are one with each other. All of the aspects of otherization have come into clear focus, and many have observed that it doesn't feel good. And intrinsically, inherently, humans understand that if something feels bad, it is not for the greatest good. And so there is a rejection of this otherization and an embrace of more of a consciousness of oneness, no matter what the results of your elections over the next several days. That being said, in this moment, as we see it, Americans have largely chosen a path for peace. So you can rest in peace. Take a moment to breathe. And we would then open this session to any questions you might have at this time.
Thank you, Masters. We have a recurring question here um, given by several individuals. The whole idea of will one candidate, a blue candidate, uh, get over 270? And this is also reflected in Jill's question and others.
We would work. In this moment, as we see it, the highest probability is that the being that you call the blue candidate is likely to have a majority of votes in 5 of 7 swing states. As you may have seen hand gestures indicative of energy, we see in this moment, though energy fluctuates, in this moment we see Wisconsin blue, Michigan blue, Pennsylvania perhaps blue, likely blue, North Carolina blue, Georgia blue, Nevada perhaps, Arizona perhaps not. These are the energies as we see them in this moment. However, there is massive free will. However, as we transmit the words and energy depicting massive free will, the visual image that most corresponds with this energetic vibration, as we say massive free will in this instant, the energetic visual that most clearly depicts this is the energy of beings in what you would call at the last minute, in the privacy of the voting booth, being unable to support a certain candidate whose energy of division creates anxiety. We sense a larger number of abstentions from voting for such a being, and a soft wave of beings who unexpectedly, even to them at times, support a being representing more unity. This is what we see at this time. There is, however, not to be ignored, an undercurrent of the same energy of rage that the being exhibits within the hearts of some Americans. And as we have guided you before, sending light to the hearts enraged as you receive light from God can help with this transition. You too at times have known rage and fear, wondering if your well being was stable, depending on the government. For these beings are your spiritual siblings in pain. So, in this moment, as you continue to channel light to the earth, to your country, and to your elections process, send light to your spiritual siblings who disagree with your politics, no matter what your politics are. There is someone who is likely to disagree with you. Send light to that being or beings who disagree with you. Is there perhaps another question?
Yes, Masters, we have two questions about the same subject. Regina wrote in, will there be violence following the election? And also, Lorraine said that I keep hearing that Trump has already set plans up for some violent reactions should he lose the election. Is this true? And should we be concerned about this? Would a landslide victory help prevent this?
We would work with this. Humans have free will. And there is a strain of human pain unique to your country because of the promises upon which your country was built. Your country was built upon the promise of perpetual supremacy based on perpetual denigration. And we would explain this in the most non inflammatory way possible. You do understand that an aspect of your country that has always been in imbalance has been the foundations upon which your country was founded, not the idealistic foundations, but the practical, physical foundations upon which it was founded. Your country was founded on the basis of supremacy and suppression. And this energy was steeped into the karmic psyche of your country, that the norm and the perpetual status quo would be a perpetual norm and status quo based on supremacy and suppression. And many groups within your country have felt this. The natives, those who came involuntarily in enslavement, women, homosexuals, and others who at times have not felt to be a part of those who seemed supreme, but instead felt suppressed. This perpetual imbalance is and has been being balanced over the last decades. And the subtle resistance to this has triggered deep anger and deep insecurity in many Americans who fear that their place is lost. And this insecurity has created deep anger. And this deep anger this deep anger at times seeps out into full display. That is why we asked each of you, no matter what you call political stripes, to send light to someone who disagrees with you. And you actually are not sending light to someone who disagrees with you. You are sending light to thousands who disagree with you. For the effect of your collective light reaches places you dare not imagine. So there is a great deal of anger that will find its way into expression. There are several flashpoints here where increased security will be useful. In Michigan, in Pennsylvania, we are seeing what you might call state houses or state capitals. We are seeing legal papers as well that are being voided. So we are seeing attempts to, in human simple terms, overturn the election through legal maneuvering as those attempts being voided. But that time period causing unrest and spontaneous eruptions of militia displaying guns at state capitals. Do you understand this? However, there is a concerted effort to prepare for this. And the balance that is being discussed now is the balance between being prepared and armed in a way that secures certain facilities but does not provoke violence. And there is a move for your government to be very aggressive about this, regardless of whether that would provoke violence or not. And the rationale for this, as we see it, is Americans have already been warned. So any American that draws weaponry has already been warned of the dire consequences and knowingly enters into violence, knowing the potential repercussions. So these discussions are being had now as we share this information with you. And there is, as we see it, a likelihood that there will be armed fortifications to resist violent attempts, attempts at violence. And this is what we see. Your task again is to send light to the broken hearts of Americans whose hearts are broken, for they feel that America's promise, which to them was based on supremacy and suppression, has been broken. And this is what we would say to you here.
Thank you, Masters. And I know that maybe you have answered this before, but Don this evening, Don Luckett, has said, what are the chances that House Republicans will be successful in throwing a wrench into the election process?
We find in the channel's consciousness quite an interesting visual image. A certain rental property of the channel was rented by a parent of a young child, and the young child was at times unsupervised. The young child enjoyed throwing things into the toilet. However, the objects stopped the toilet, and a plumber had to be called to, in human terms, snake the drain. And the drain was snaked, and the toilet ran again. And the child and the child's parent tried to shirk responsibility for this action, despite the truth that the objects thrown in the toilet were obviously the objects of a young child, and the landlord, some 160 miles away, did not have arms long enough to throw these objects into the toilet. This is the energy that we find in the channel's consciousness that most accurately depicts what you ask. There will be politicians that try to throw objects into the drain in order to stop the drain from moving. Do you understand this? Those objects thrown in the way, you might call them monkey wrenches. Those objects thrown will be retrieved, taken out, so that the flow occurs as the flow is supposed to occur. And then you will find these politicians trying to shirk responsibility for their actions. The key here is the succinct answer. Yes, they will attempt certain maneuvers, and no, these maneuvers will not be successful. Do you understand this? This is what we would say about this.
Thank you, Masters. We have time for one more question, and I will double it here. Jane Bat wrote this evening, if the outcome is not what I desire, how do we continue to feel and serve love's presence? And also the whole idea of, is the angel of ego completing his teaching and can retire?
We would work with this There are two keys here. One key is to fill yourself with such light that you are inoculated against the fear that anyone in political office will wreck your life. This is the first key. Although it is a very remote possibility, you must see yourself as safe and whole and complete, loved, lovable, powerful beyond measure, regardless of who is elected. And as you work with this part of you that has felt so scared and vulnerable, so victimized, so ostracized, so otherized, and that part of you that feels the potential for mistreatment, as you continue healing this part of you, that part of you knows that you will be fine no matter who is elected. That being said, America is exhausted by the energy of division, as is the world. And America, as does the world, yearns, calls out for, beckons, prays for, visualizes, and feels that it deserves a new phase of harmony. And this will happen regardless of who is elected. For example, even if on the what you might call off chance that energies that lean towards chaos and division assume certain levels of power, the exhaustion of Americans and the chaos would render them ineffective. And so, no matter what, you can have peace as you choose it. Peace comes through the healing grace of feeling God within you and sharing that with your brothers, your siblings, even those that do not agree with you. And this is what we would say here.
Thank you, Masters. We are all out of Earth time. Could you please give us a final word?
Love your earth, love your country, love your siblings on the earth, your spiritual siblings on the earth, and love yourselves. This is not as esoteric as you think, for this is practical and useful. At this time, your earth continues to beckon, continues to call forth an energy and light of love to continue its healing. You are channels for this light and love. When you love your planet and you love your earth and you love yourself and you love your siblings, you vibrate with and anchor this love on the earth that moves it forward and keeps you safe. You are safe in the love of God. Be blessed and in God forever. Hey,
Hey, welcome back. Yeah,
thank you.
we just to let everyone know, we really tried to get as many questions as we could this evening, and that Reverend Jim has other things to do this evening, so we have to keep it to a limit here. What I just a brief comment. I just think again that we as individuals who are of aware of the light, again, as we send light, the masters have told us that we have a responsibility now to share light with the planet. It's not up to them; it's up to us. So I please, we've been given the blessing. So to share that light with our planet, especially tonight and tomorrow. All right.
All right.
I heard someone's having some classes, but there's a kind of a,
A
oh, I don't
catch.
know. I don't know. I'll let you explain it, Reverend Jim. Hold on.
There's a little bit of a complication. I'm having classes. The classes are tonight, I do channeling from 7:30 to 9:30. It's Spirit Speaks on self-mastery, where spirit will help us to develop more self-awareness, awareness of our unconscious motivations and our unconscious saboteurs, self love, where we learn to love every aspect of ourselves, including those things that we have been miseducated into believing what is wrong with us, self empowerment, where we recognize and remember our holiness and our mastery, and how we can live in self mastery instead of in the consciousness of victimhood. This is Spirit Speaks on Self Mastery. It's 8 weeks. It started last Monday. And then on Thursday nights, we're going to take that self mastery and use it to manifest. The Thursday night class is called Manifesting Through Mastery. And manifesting through mastery is easy. When you manifest through your highest self, there is no no to reject your manifestation. There is no resistance to your manifestation. There is no confusion about your manifestation. For on that higher realm, in that higher realm of existence, there is only light and there is only love, and there is only the yes that allows love to take all the forms that you want love to manifest in. So, learning how to manifest from that perspective makes manifestation easy and effortless. So, these are companion classes. You sign up for one, you get the other, and vice versa. However, there's a little bit of a complication. The complication is that the classes are sold out.
What?
They're sold out. I told you. Did I not tell you? And anybody
No,
who's under the sound
this
of my
see
voice,
this happens every time that you offer classes. Is that they go like that? I mean, even when we're on the air, that the phone is ringing,
mhm.
saying, "Can you get me in the class?" So,
Can you give me a break? Can you help a brother out? Get me in the class. It's like, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, dude. And then luckily somebody did that last week and and while we were in the class, somebody said, I changed my mind, I can't take the class. And we were able to let one other person in. But there's another way.
oh,
There's an
okay.
audit option. Yeah. The audit option is this: all the classes are recorded. And the reason that they're recorded is the same reason this is recorded. And that is so that you can refer to it over and over again. Because some of the meditations, some of the healings, and some of the answers we need to listen to over and over again. So it's recorded. So you can audit the class and get all of the recordings. That's basically 8 times 4 is 32 hours of recordings. Now, of course, you can fast forward to the stuff that doesn't apply to you, but you can get access to all of this information. And that audit option is only $100. So if you want to audit the class and get the recordings, let me know. And if you're interested in that, or if you're even on the fence, let me know, and I'll send you last week's recordings. You can review them. And then if you want, you can audit the rest. If not, we'll part as friends. Okay?
Yes, and so Jim's contact information is Reverend Jim Webb at msn.com. You can also visit him at ReverendJimWebb.com, and also his personal phone number, 202-253-6009, 202-253-6009.
Which hopefully will quiet down after tomorrow. Give one candidate $5 and they will text you incessantly for the next 2 years.
I just got another text saying, they need another 20.
Oh, yeah. Can you help me out? We're down to the wire.
Well, it's been a real we are ending these weekly sessions. We um, uh, from Reverend Jim, we will do this once a month, maybe
Yeah, maybe we'll do it as a pop-up. Yes.
pop up, so you never know.
Yeah. So one of the ways you can find out is to go to my website, subscribe. That way I'll let you know when I'm doing one.
Right.
Okay. Or go to my what do you call that thing? YouTube page, subscribe, and when I'm doing one, you'll be notified.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything is on Jim's YouTube page, and so please. So everyone, send love and light, and Reverend Jim, thank you very much for Jim Webb. I am Reverend Michael Mangus, and we're going to wish you a very pleasant good night.